Obviously, there's not much the White House specifically can do. Does it have any comment on this situation, and any idea if there's anything federal authorities can do to help the teachers in this case?
That's a good question. In terms of helping the teachers, I'll have to check with the Department of Education. I'd send you to them as well, of course. Obviously, our objective is continuing to convey that it's important to abide by public health guidelines, that they're in place for a reason, that they are not done through a political prism. They are done by medical experts, by health experts, intended to keep children safe, keep parents safe, keep teachers safe, keep communities safe, which is why we recommend people abide by them. Go ahead.
Thanks, Jen. I want to start with a follow-up on the COVID vaccine, specifically the AstraZeneca doses that are going abroad. I want to clarify something you said yesterday about COVAX. And can you just say whether the U.S. is considering distributing those doses to other countries through COVAX, or are you only focusing on distributing them on country-by-country basis directly?
We expect it to be a combination. We're still developing our plans and what that looks like. And again, as I alluded to earlier, we're talking about 10 million doses if it goes through FDA review in the next few weeks. So it's not today. We have 0 doses available today, and then another 50 million in several months. So we have some time to develop what our plan is and meet whatever the needs are at that moment in time.
And then on refugees, the Washington Post reported today that there's now consideration of bumping that cap up to the 62,500 number that the administration initially proposed in February. Your statement at the time when that was changed said that meeting that target was unlikely. So could you just talk about what changed in the thinking there, again, as this consideration is leading up to May 15th?
Sure. Well, we've long said, or said for the last several weeks, that the president had every intention of announcing a new cap, and that he would do that in advance of May 15th, and we are certainly continue to be on track toward that. In terms of our considerations over time, we inherited an incredibly broken system. It left us with and the president and others, with some skepticism about what the system would bear. Hence, our announcement a couple of weeks ago was meant to be a first step, focused on announcing the resumption of flights, and also the overturning of the xenophobic policies of the last administration that prevented refugees from applying from Africa and the Middle East. That has changed. That was the biggest hindrance to refugees being able to apply from that part of the world, or in general, but from that part of the world. One of the considerations at this point in time, as we're determining what the cap will look like, is what message we're sending to the world. And we are a country under the Biden-Harris administration where we want to send a clear message. We are welcoming refugees. We want to send that message to the world. We want to send that message to the refugee community and to organizations that have been underfunded, that have had their muscles atrophied over the past couple of years where that was not a primary focus. We also want to send a message that the president has long been committed to the 125,000 cap that he has set, has always consistently been his objective since February for the next fiscal year. 62.5 was always meant to be a down payment on that, so those are the considerations as we make a determination about the cap that we're setting.
But would you now say getting to that 62.5 number this fiscal year is likely rather than unlikely?
I would say that whatever the cap is, if the cap is close to that or at that, it will continue to be challenging. But there are considerations, including the message we're sending to the world, and also the need to get the muscles working in the system, in the federal government, but also with all of the important partners out there in the United States and around the world that play an important role in refugees traveling to the United States. Help enable them to raise money, help enable them to hire staff and get their systems ready so we can meet that 125 cap next year. Go ahead.
On India and the explosion of COVID cases there, the UK and Canada have already instituted a travel ban in regards to India. Why isn't the U.S. doing the same?
We would make those determinations based on the advice of our health and medical team. They haven't made that determination at this point.
And we are hearing reports of places where vaccine supply is outstripping demand. In Iowa, for instance, they're now declining a new shipment of vaccine because the demand isn't there. If this continues, would the administration consider shipping more doses overseas?
Well, we always expected to hit that point, and we're in a new stage at this point in time, as you alluded to, Mary, where we don't have a supply challenge. Now our challenge is ensuring we're meeting people where they are, we're getting into these communities, we're continuing to increase confidence, which we've seen an increase in a range of communities, black and brown communities, as well as more conservative white communities, which is a good sign, but there's more work to be done. We will continue to evaluate what supply we have available for the global community, and we want to be a part of that effort, as is evidenced by the announcement we made yesterday. But that doesn't mean we're going to pull back on or give away supply that is needed to vaccinate the American people, because that remains our top priority. Go ahead in the back.
I had one on labor relations and then one on the virus, if I could. The National Labor Relations Board has a May hearing. It's on a complaint from the retail, wholesale, and department store union. They allege that Amazon kind of interfered in that union push and vote down in Alabama. Does President Biden feel that Amazon did in fact interfere? Does he support the complaint?
We would leave that to the NLRB. They're in place for a reason.
Do you expect that to just play out? And on the virus, I know we're still fighting COVID, but what efforts are put to make the U.S. more proactive if another pandemic comes along down the road, be more nimble in testing, surveillance? I know he proposed that DARPA-like agency, the health agency.
ARPA-H?
Yeah, would infectious diseases be part of that? Is he going to address this at the speech, just looking down the road at what might come?
ARPA-H is an issue and an endeavor that is close to the president's heart. He's talked about it quite a bit. It could be a part of the speech, but we're still finalizing what that looks like. I will say that one of the president's objectives and the objective of our national security team is to do exactly what you said, is to prepare for any future pandemics, to make sure we are more closely working with our national partners, international partners around the world, that we are fully staffing agencies and positions that were removed during the prior administration, that we are investing in research and development, and that we are leading with health and science. So while we are fighting this pandemic, we are also focused on investing in areas to prevent next pandemic, including personnel, research, and any needs to do exactly that. Go ahead.
Hey, so just a question. Obviously, the president is going to celebrate the 100-day mark with this tour, but looking ahead to the next 100 days, the first year of the administration, the first 100 days were quite scripted. The transition team talked quite a bit about how they, Biden set out certain goals for them, and they tried to meet those over the course of the first 100 days. What does the next 100 days look like? Can you give us some sort of preview of what new priorities or benchmarks you're going to set and how that planning process